King Arthur's Knights, Chapter 3, Part 3. And by his side there was a lovely lady who started up, weeping and wringing her hands. And she said, O knight, too much evil you have brought to me. Why say ye so? Said Sir Launcelot. I never did harm to this knight, for hither did his hound lead me. And therefore, fair lady, be not displeased with me, for grief is upon me for your sorrow and your sadness. Truly, sir, said the lady, and she laid her face in her hands and sobbed full sorely, so that Sir Launcelot was much stirred thereat. I trow, as ye say it, that you are not the knight that hath near slain my love and my husband. And never may he be healed of his deadly wound except some good knight aid me. But he must be so bold and valiant a man that never, I think, may I find such a one in the little time I have before my dear lord shall die. Now, on the honor of my knighthood, replied Sir Launcelot, I do not presume that I am such a one as you desire. But if I may aid you and ease your sorrow, that would I do most willingly. What is it I should do? Oh, Sir Knight, cried the lady, and her lovely eyes looked full thankfully at Sir Launcelot. If ye would, it were the greatest deed you have ever done, however bold a knight ye may be. For this, my lord is sore wounded by a knight whom he met in the forest this day, and by one thing only may he be made whole. For there is a lady, a sorceress, that dwelleth in a castle here beside, and she hath told me that my husband's wounds may never be whole till I may find a knight that would go at midnight into the chapel perilous beside the mare, and that therein he should find before the high altar a sword, and the shroud in which the dead wizard knight is lapped, and with that sword my husband's wounds should be searched, and a piece of the shroud should bind them. This is a marvelous thing, said Sir Launcelot, and I will essay it. But what is your husband's name? Sir, she said, his name is Sir Meliot de Logres. That me repenteth, said Sir Launcelot, for he is a fellow of the Round Table, and for him will I do all in my power. Going to the table, he looked upon the ashen face of the wounded man, and it was Sir Meliot, even as the lady said. Now, sir, said the lady, when Sir Launcelot had mounted his horse, do ye follow that hard way across the marsh, and it will lead ye by midnight to the chapel perilous, and may ye speed well. Right so Sir Launcelot departed, and the sun was near its setting. For some hours Sir Launcelot fared across the marsh, until it was deep night, save for the stars. Then he came upon a broad road, grass-grown and banked high, where the night wind piped in the long grass. This he knew was a road which the great Roman necromancers had wrought, and he thought he had missed his way, for there was no other path. As he stood marveling, the figure of a man, tall and gaunt, and but half clad, came down the broad road toward him, and cried in a hollow voice, For the love of charity, Sir Knight, give to a poor man who is outcast. Sir Launcelot pitied the sunken eyes of the poor man, and gave him alms. God give thee comfort, poor soul, said the knight, and get thee a roof, for the night wind blows chill. God bless thee, Sir Knight, said the man in awful tones, for courtesy and pity such as thine are rare. Whither goest thou this night? I seek the chapel perilous, said Sir Launcelot, at which the shape threw back his head and cried out as if with great sorrow. God fend thee, Sir Knight, he said, and bring thee safe alive. What thou gettest there, keep thou in thy hands until the dawn, or thy soul shall suffer death. Then he vanished, and Sir Launcelot knew it had been a phantom. Then, as he crossed himself, he looked up, and through some thin and withered trees a little way off upon a slope, he saw the shimmer of light, as if a chapel was lit up. He went toward it, and he saw a high wall that was broken down in many places, and an old gray chapel beyond, and the windows were shimmering with a ghostly light. As he came through the trees, he saw they were all dead, with neither leaf nor twig upon them. Their roots were crooked out of the ground, as if they would throw his horse, and their limbs were stretched, as if they strained to clutch him. Coming to the gate in the wall, his horse trembled and plunged, and would go no further. Whereat Sir Launcelot alighted, and tied it to a thorn tree, and went through the gate. By the ghostly light that came from the windows of the ruined chapel, he saw that under the eaves were hung fair shields with rich devices, and all were turned upside down. Many of them were those of knights he had known or heard of, long since dead or lost. When he had made a few steps on the grass-grown pathway toward the door, of a sudden he saw coming from the church 30 tall knights, each a foot higher than he, each in black armor. And each with sword uplifted as they rushed toward him. Their feet and armor made no sound as they pressed forward, and a thin blue flame licked about each naked sword. They came upon him, but Sir Launcelot, with a prayer to God, dressed his shield and sword and stood firm, though his flesh quaked and his tongue clave to the roof of his mouth. They mowed and gnashed at him and heaved their swords about him. Then suddenly their visors went up, and he looked into their faces. And at that he was sore adread, for he knew they were dead men. But he would not be overcome, and said in a loud voice, "In the name of God, avaunt ye!" He made a step forward, and they scattered before him, but followed closely behind. Then he went into the chapel, where he saw no light but a dim lamp burning upon the altar. It was an old, old chapel, with dust upon its floor like a thick carpet. The walls and windows were holed and broken, and the timber of the seats was rotten. He went up to the high altar and saw before it a trestle, and upon it was a dead man, all covered with a cloth of silk. Sir Launcelot stooped down and with his sword cut a piece of that cloth away. With that, his blood seemed to turn to water, and his feet seemed eager to run toward the door. For with a mighty roar the earth shook beneath him, and the walls of the chapel rocked. But he looked for the sword which he must take, and saw it under the trestle, and picked it up, and went out of the chapel. The ghosts of the knights pressed about him as he walked, and strove to tear the sword from his grasp. But he would not suffer them to take it, and when he reached the gate, they could no further go, and so left him. At the gate there came running up to him a fair damsel, crying to him, "O brave knight, give me the sword and the cloth, that I may take them at once to my mistress, the lady of Sir Meliot, for he is at the point of death, and she is waiting in sorrow and tears beside him." But Sir Launcelot remembered the words of the phantom beggar, and made reply, "Fair damsel, I shall take them myself to the lady of Sir Meliot, for these things I may not give to any until the dawning." The damsel would have torn the sword and the cloth full hastily from his hands, but he was aware of her intent, and hindered her, and bade her in the name of God to withdraw. Whereat, with a great shriek, she vanished. "Now," said Sir Launcelot, "may God, who has brought me through these evil adventures, shield me from any further subtle crafts of these foul things." Straightway he mounted his horse and took his way toward the marsh, so that he should give the sword and the cloth into the hands of the lady of Sir Meliot for the healing of her lord. But at the dawn Merlin met him. "Sir Launcelot," said the old white wizard, "ye have no need to go into the ruined manor, except ye would have the proof of what I tell you." "And what is that?" asked Sir Launcelot. "That all that hath befallen thee hath been done by evil magic," replied Merlin. "The black dog that led thee to the manor was a fiend. The fair lady that entreated ye was an evil witch, and she and the damsel at the chapel were the same. And all was caused by the witch queens who had you in their tower. And the likeness of the wounded knight to Sir Meliot was formed by wizardry. They that craved your death did hope that ye would fail at the terrors of the Chapel Perilous, and that your soul would be lost, as have the souls of those evil or weak knights whose ghosts assailed ye. But by your courage and great heart ye have won through all. This is a great marvel, said Sir Launcelot, and I thank God that he hath shielded me of his mercy. When Sir Launcelot was returned to Camelot, and Merlin had told King Arthur of the knight's adventures, the king made him one of the knights of the Round Table. Ye do well, said Merlin privily unto the king, for he shall prove the most man of worship that is in the world, and all your court and all your Round Table shall be by him made more famous than by any knight now living. Yet shall he not be one of those three that shall achieve the Holy Grail. And we'll start on chapter 4 in the next video. I hope you're enjoying the story of King Arthur and his knights, and I hope you come back for all the rest of them. Thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. As Tigger says, ta-ta for now.